Yes, people, how's it going? Welcome back to Lily White Lane. Hope you're all doing good. Hope you're keeping safe and well. And you are very welcome along to your latest Tottenham Hotspur transfer news that we're going to bring to you on this Monday afternoon. And oh boy, do we have some very interesting Tottenham transfer news to bring to you guys, including Adama Traore potentially moving to Spurs in the January transfer window. Antonio Conte looking to sell 2 players in the January transfer window, and Couhtinio could be on his way to North London. All of that and much more coming up on today's show. So we'll start things off talking about Adama Traore. Now, it's a very interesting narrative within the fan base and different fans' reactions to this transfer that could be going ahead in the January transfer window. So Fabio Paratici is a big admirer of Adama Traore since his days at Juventus. Wolves would accept 20 million for the winger. Those are the reports that are being bandied around on this Monday morning. And look, he's a bit like Marmite within the Spurs fan base. And by that I mean half the fan base think he's absolutely phenomenal, think he's not overrated at all, think he's a world-class player, and think he would really excel at Spurs and turn us into something special and potentially even get us into the Champions League. Then you've got the other half of the fan base who think he's pathetic, think he's far too overrated, think he's nowhere near as good as people portray him as, and don't think he's good enough to join Spurs. And then you've got people who sit on the fence. Now, I don't normally like to sit on the fence because I think I want to get my opinion across, and I don't want to sort of go, well, it could be this, it could be that. I want to go, right, this is the answer. This is, this is what I mean. And with Antonio Conte and Adama Traore, I think 20 million, right? 40 million was the offer for him in the summer. We didn't get that deal through. Wolves have taken it down by 20 million. That's 20 million they've taken it down by. And 20 million they would accept for Adama Traore. Now, I think we take it. I really do think we take it. Now, although the statistics, say he's not a fantastic player at all, if you'd read his statistics and you haven't watched Adama Traore, you'd say, why are we tracking down this guy? He is nowhere near good enough. But for me, statistics and stats are very misleading. I don't think they tell you the full picture. I don't think they tell you the entire story. And for me, Adama Traore is one of those players that you need to watch to see how good he can be. Yes, he can be inconsistent, but I think he'd be absolutely phenomenal and really excel in Antonio Conte Spurs. Yes, right back and left back are very important when you're playing a back four, but when you're playing a back five, especially in the system that Antonio Conte does, when your main objective is to cross in the ball, you need a good right back, you need a good left wing back. You need good wing backs. Now, what you need from those wing backs in Antonio Conte's system, you need good crossing ability. Has Royale got that? Probably not as good as we want him to. Has Adama Traore got that? Yes, we've seen time and time again him beating his man and whipping in a fantastic cross. He's got that. Has he got the ability to battle? That's what you want from a right wing back or left wing back, for the player to have the ability to really battle, to not go down, from a little soft challenge, to really battle through and get that ball in the middle of the box. Can he do that? We've seen it time and time again, him beating 3 or 4 players and still managing to get a cross in or a shot off, or get a corner for his team or a throw in or whatever. Can he move the ball up the pitch? Yes. Yes, he can move the ball up the pitch. He constantly does it. He'll take it from one half, to the opposition end, to right outside the box. He's a very box-to-box right wing-back, but he does it so well because he beats his man constantly. And you can just see him weaving in and out, and he does not go down. For me, he's a proper rock. He's a proper defensive rock if we were to play him in that right wing-back. And does he tick all those boxes that I've just mentioned? Undoubtedly, yes. Every single box that I've just mentioned of what you want from a right wing back or a left wing back in a back five, in the way Antonio Conte plays football, he ticks every single one of those boxes. He battles with the opposition right back or left wing back, gives them a massively hard time, gets them a yellow card or a red card most of the time. Fantastic at that. Fantastic shithousery. Can beat 5 or 6 players. And I think, he gets a lot of criticism for not scoring at Wolves, but I think he's beaten so many players when it comes down to actually shooting. he's done all the work. He wants someone else to step up for him. And I think at Spurs, on that right-hand side with Lucas Moura, you know, running at players and Adama Traore right behind him, it just sounds like the stuff of dreams. Lucas Moura and Antonio Conte on that right-hand side. Lucas Moura and Adama Traore on that right-hand side, just running at those defenders, causing them a hard time. That's exactly what you want from your right-hand side of the football pitch, and that's exactly what Adama Traore would bring. And that, for me, is why I would happily take him at Spurs, especially for 20 million. But let me know your guys' opinions. Some of you guys may not be too keen on Adama Traore. Some of you guys might really want him. So please do let me know your opinions in the comment section down below. So let's move on to our next piece of news, in that Tottenham Hotspur are looking to sell both Joe Rodon and Matt Doherty in January. Wolves are looking to bring Matt Doherty with a 50 million bid. For me, you know, I'll move on to the next piece of the news in a second. For me, 50 million for Doherty. He's had 2 years to prove himself at Spurs. He hasn't done it. He's been nowhere near good enough. And I'd like to even say that he's been okay. But he really hasn't. Every single time he stepped foot on that football pitch for Spurs, he's been pathetic. He's been sloppy. He's been slow. He hasn't tracked back. He hasn't made runs. He's just been useless. He's made the team worse. I prefer to play with 10 men than have Doherty on the pitch. And that might sound harsh, but it's my honest opinion. He's a decent enough player, but we all know he's a gooner. And we all know that he hasn't been good enough, and he's definitely not Tottenham Hotspur quality. So look, for me, 50 million, sell him. Joe Rodon for 20 million. Now, I'm not going to be too harsh on Rodon because we bought him in a couple years ago. I thought it was a very promising signing. I thought it was a great signing from Jose Mourinho, real young Welsh defensive rock. He's been here for 2 years. He's just been a bit, you know, I wouldn't say bad, but I wouldn't say good at all. Every single time he stepped foot on the pitch, you know, he hasn't had one disaster class. He hasn't had one completely bad match, which is good. He hasn't made one big mistake for the team. But has he really stepped up and come close to man of the match, or had people raving about him and saying he was one of our best players on the pitch in that game or that game? No. And that, for me, you know, especially with the bid that's coming, 20 million. 20 million for a player that hasn't stepped up in 2 years. We can take that 20 million with an extra 5 and go for a real proper defender. Someone such as Bremer in Serie A, who's fantastic at the minute, or, you know, or even Cons or someone like that, a real defensive rock. So for me, 20 million, you've got to let him go. You have to let him go. And that takes us nicely on to our last piece of news, in that Philippe Coutinho could join Tottenham this January over Newcastle, with both clubs looking to bring the current Barcelona midfielder to the Toon Army, to St James's Park, or to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with the 29-year-old looking to leave Barcelona. Philippe Coutinho wants to leave Barca. It's a very tough one with Coutinho. It's a very similar situation to the Traore one, whereas some fans rave about him and think he'll be fantastic. Some fans really dislike the player and think, you know, he's simply not good enough. I think with this one, I think he's past his prime. He's 29. He's had a decent enough career. If we, you know, if this deal came, you know, on the table when he was at Liverpool, I would happily take it. But went to Liverpool, Barcelona wasn't good enough. On loan to Bayern, he had a good loan spell at Bayern, came back to Barca. He's just been a bit iffy. And do I think he would settle into that Tottenham Hotspur team? I highly doubt it. I think we need a creative midfielder, someone who's going to be consistent. Might not be absolutely fantastic, but going to be consistently decent in that midfield. Someone who can consistently play those fantastic passes too. That's what we're looking for. And I think Coutinho is more of a magic moment player. A bit like John Joe Shelby. Nowhere near as bad as John Joe Shelby, but a bit like he can either have a fantastic game or a shocker. So for me, Philippe Coutinho, I wouldn't take the deal. But some of you guys would. Please let me know if you would in the comment section down below. And that is just about time up. Thank you for watching. You guys have been awesome. Make sure as well to smash that subscribe button. Hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. And tap the notification bell so you'll be notified every single time we do upload. Take care. All the best. Ta-da. And as always, come on you Spurs. ENIC out. In Conte, we trust.